The second play in our Singleback ace pair chief scheme is the play PA dig. Now, if you have a playbook that doesn't have PA dig and you've got a play called PA half Factorial, you can set up that play identical to this one. So here's all the setups that we're going to use. Now, as I mentioned, I don't play the game anymore, so I do have very limited gameplay, but it doesn't mean that all these setups aren't great. These absolutely are the setups you want to be using. You can mix them in, no problem at all. Everything about what I just showed you is great. There, we see a single high safety. We motion the guy over X. We put him on a streak, and it's a cover 3 beater with X holding the safety, and we're just able to throw a wide open pass to square. Now, I'm only going to be looking at a couple routes here. We're going to look at square, we're going to look at R1, and then we're going to look at X. I don't have a ton of examples of a lot of other things. The reason is because I don't play the game so much anymore. The other reason is because, as you see right here, he's using circle. Every single time I ran this play and wanted to get an example of throwing to circle, they covered it. And that's exactly what we want, because square is going to be wide open in behind for a much bigger gain, potentially a touchdown. We see that it's a single high safety. We're getting exactly what we want right here. They're covering circle. Now, obviously, if they end up going back and covering square, circle is wide open for an easy pass. So let's continue on. We just wait and see there. We pass lead up into the corner to make sure that he gets into that area and that it's not a really bad pass. Now, the second setup that we're going to look at right here of this play is deadly against cover 2, just like the single back jumbo heavy. PA Counter Waggle has this post route that in single back jumbo heavy was a corner route, and it was very, very easy by streaking the inside guy to get this route wide open. I showed you guys that. It's a play I used back in Madden 15. It's a play I use this year. It's a play I've been using for a long time, the PA Counter Waggle. I told you guys, this is tight slots and jumbo heavy. This is like a mixture of those two formations. So that's why I love ace pair chief so much. This time, though, instead of it being one of the tight ends, it's actually going to be one of the wide receivers that we motion over. So to set it up, you must have the streak. Then we're going to have X on the out route, because that's going to allow us to take advantage of cover 2 with the hard flat or the cloud flat. X is going to be wide open if it's a cloud flat. If it's a hard flat, square becomes a much easier read. It becomes a much easier completion. But even if it is a cloud flat, we can still complete it to square. The only thing that you need to know is that we must run this to the wide side of the field. It's not quite as good like jumbo heavy, where you could run it to either side, even though most people would flip it and run it to the wide side. Here, you must run this to the wide side. So on the left hash, it's cover 2. We want to hit them in behind. So this is the setup. As you see, X is wide open. We could take that. No problem. We could take that, throw that, and the user's way out. He's covering circle, and that's money right there. Take X. If you're in a game that means something, take X. But I'm not in a game that means something, and I want square. So we pass lead up. Just like in the single back jumbo heavy, just like PA Counter Waggle, you got to take advantage of some of these pass leads to get away from the defenders. Now here what we're going to do is we're actually going to motion square back inside a couple steps. And the reason we do this is because in the single back jumbo heavy, we've got all of the players in tight. They're all close to the middle of the field. So to replicate that a little bit and to make it a little bit easier to complete, we're going to motion them back in a few steps. I do prefer that, but some people will catch on to that. Sometimes you won't, you don't need to do it, but it will make it a little bit easier. So as you see, we motion them back to the inside. Okay. Now again, X can be the read. X can certainly be the read. It's no problem at all. Even with those defenders there, it can be. But of course, we're going to pick up way more yards and potentially a touchdown if we wait and just go to square with the pass lead to the outside. Absolutely money. Now again, we're taking a look at this setup. and take a look at the corner route. The corner route here is very, very glitchy. So we're done with everything else. We're done with square. And now we're just taking a look at R1. I love this. We're motioning everybody over, okay? And we've got a lot of stuff in this scheme that really takes advantage of that left side of the field. We really do. So you're going to see a lot of, you know, cross-manning and stuff like that. You're going to see them really try to play heavy to the run, because we have a run when we motion this guy over. And then, of course, we got the flat and the corner by circle on the other play. We just got a lot of stuff that goes to the left side. But then even the stuff on the left, it can travel over to the right side. A lot of routes like you see here where they go from left to right. So because of that, you might see them cross-man a linebacker on R1. And if they do, or just depending on whatever, this is a fantastic route to get wide open. He tries to cover it, and we just pass lead up. He tries to kind of buy his time. No dice for him whatsoever. Again, just take a look. I mean, I don't know what he's doing there, that particular player, but regardless of awful play by our opponent, which that's what that was awful, but it's an example, so I'm going to show it. Let's take a look here again. We got the guy fanning out. We can just throw that quickly into the open space. The defender goes to the outside. Here it's man coverage, pass lead to the outside and down and to the outside, just like always, okay, on corner routes, etc. Here again, he does a blitz and we just take advantage of it. So again, go back to the beginning and see again, open space. Just because we have everyone over to the left doesn't mean that there's still not going to be open space, even if they have 3 guys over there. And of course, against cover 1, against man coverage, we're going to be able to pass lead that down and to the outside. Now, here's a setup, for example, okay, where this is one of the ones that I really, really like. Obviously, I would prefer it to be a setup that we're going to use more at midfield because of the deep routes and stuff like that, but it's still a fantastic. And square can actually be a pretty decent high point pass if you want to smart route that when you're close to the red zone. So we motion this guy over. He tries to run and protect against R1, and it's just pass lead again to the outside. So go back, take a look at all the setups that I showed at the beginning and make sure that you're taking advantage of those. As you see right there, we hit X on a drag, no problem. And always make sure that if you're playing in something where it's competitive and you really want to win and you're running this setup of motioning square all the way over, take X if it's there. Just take it, take it, take it. What that's going to do is if they love to play cover 2, it's going to force them into the hard flat. And if they have a hard flat, all that means is square is going to be wide open far more often. The other thing you have to remember is that we have the play wide receiver under, where we motion the guy all the way over, but he's actually on a post route. So this one beats cover 2, and he's on a corner route, a deep corner like this, or a squiggly corner. And then on wide receiver under, it's a post route. And then, of course, we've got high point passing. The formation just has it all. Make sure, though, that you're taking these out routes. Right here, he sent a heavy, heavy man blitz. As you see, if I don't dump that off right away, I'm going to be sacked. In routes, out routes are phenomenal because they can take advantage of those cloud flats. But they also are unbumpable, and they can destroy man coverage as well. So make sure that you're taking advantage of that. We're into play 2. There's still a decent amount more that I got to show you guys. I really love this scheme a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.